this episode of Next Matters Most, we're talking to Anna Shuford, founder and CEO of a startup called BoomRoom. BoomRoom is a platform for fitness instructors to teach small classes, so small format classes. So you get to invite your client base, you get to give them tools, tips, tricks, and you get to communicate with them directly. So as opposed to kind of the big Pelotons of the world that are sort of one to many, this is really built to kind of mirror the intimacy of a class that'll be in the gym. It was an idea sort of born out of the pandemic, but one that I think is here to stay. And Anna's doing a great job as a young entrepreneur. We also talk about kind of the growth in support and resources provided to entrepreneurs through the university system. So, she did undergrad at UNC Chapel Hill, quickly went into grad school in the MBA program, and has leveraged a ton of the resources and has done a great job sort of being proactive. And we talk about that as well as, the value of gaining entrepreneurial experience and working on something while you're young, whether it's college, grad school, or even as early as high school. So I think this is a great conversation for those early in their entrepreneurial journey, as well as for those folks in the kind of executive seats at these universities for the success that can happen when you do provide the supporting tools. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Enjoy. All right. Well, hey, we're here with Anna Shuford, entrepreneur extraordinaire from Chapel Hill. Anna, why don't you tell us, and we met while you're still in college on an entrepreneurial journey, pursuing an idea that I guess I don't know enough about. I don't know if that was inspired because of sort of the pandemic or was sort of bubbling around in your head, and then sort of everyone going digital forced us into the obvious nature of what the product that you are working on is offering. But why don't you quickly give us your kind of background and, more about yourself, and then kind of where you're at today.
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was an undergrad at Chapel Hill and was the class of 2020. So always thought I wanted to go into entertainment, worked at Madison Square Garden the summer before my senior year at Chapel Hill. And the pandemic hit. So that was not an option. Entertainment was just not going to happen. So had to kind of rethink what I wanted to do. It was a really cool job. I didn't really feel really energetic about it, if that makes sense. So thought it'd be a good thing to do after college, and that ended up not happening. So kind of a blessing in disguise. So I was rethinking my options, and I've always wanted to go back to business school just because I've always had this idea that I want to start my own business down the road. We have a family business ourselves, so I've always just been interested in just the generics around business. So the NC Business Next program that UNC Kenan Flagler released like last spring was an option for people that were just graduating or had recently graduated and were being hit by like the pitfalls of the pandemic. So I thought this would be a great time for me to go back to MBA school, knock that out while I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. So applied and got in around May of last year, and May of 2020. And then was over the summer, just have always been super, super into fitness. And that's always been a big passion of mine. And when all these gyms and studios were closed, I started taking all these online Zoom classes with some of my favorite instructors from Charlotte and just around, and absolutely fell in love with the process. I could jump in my living room using wine bottles as weights and burn like 500 calories. I see all my friends on the screen. The trainer was calling my name. It was just super personable. And I was like, this is something that I'm going to definitely continue doing just because it is so, so convenient. And I'm still getting that like personal touch from the trainer that I know and who knows me. So I was like, this is definitely going to stick around, but let me do some like poking around. So got really excited about just kind of exploring that over the summer. I even studied and got my personal training license just so I had some like credibility around the just industry and whatnot. So did some research and talked to a bunch of trainers who were just super frustrated with Zoom. Just main pitfalls were like the sound quality was terrible, controlling like all the payments. So a lot of trainers were taking Venmo requests, and if you didn't Venmo them in time, you wouldn't get the link. And it was just all these like moving parts and having to use a bunch of different platforms to just carry out the entire process. So for trainers, that's just not ideal. They just want to teach the class and like make it simple and a high quality experience for both them and their clients. So I was like, okay, what if there was like a Zoom built for fitness and we could just have payment, scheduling, booking, all that good stuff, plus an integrated video software on the interface that had timers and stuff that's customizable to fitness specifically. So not Zoom, like we have timers embedded, we have Spotify integrated. You're able to customize the view options. Say if you're a user who's just getting back into fitness and you just want to see you and the trainer and you don't want anyone else in the class to be able to see you. So there's an option to just so the trainer can see your video. So lots of different stuff that's like super customizable around fitness that Zoom's leaving out. And the goal of this is to empower these like independent trainers who are teaching Zoom classes on the side of like a job at a studio or a gym, just an additional revenue stream for them. But yeah, they can hit this whole other market. They can train people that are in New York if they're in Charlotte or whatnot, just no really boundaries to it. So the idea around it is these trainers too have just realized that it's just another revenue stream, like I said. So that's kind of where we're like, okay, this market is going to stick. Like, why wouldn't people do this? But the goal around it is, okay, how do we make it easier for the trainer and worth their time? And how do we make it good enough for them to switch from using Zoom to using BoomRoom?
Yep.
I don't know.
So the company is, no,
Let me
that's
know.
great. Yeah. So the company is called BoomRoom.
Yes.
Okay. And where are you at now in terms of, I heard obviously you kind of identified the problem firsthand. And so you're a little bit scratching your own itch. You went out and got credibility. You did some customer development a bit by saying, hey, what do you like, don't like? Where is the company and product at now?
So yeah, in the beginning, it was definitely my own problem as like a user taking the class. I was like, this is kind of complex. Like, I don't like all the moving parts. Like, I'm trying to find the Zoom link right before the class starts in my email. I have to Venmo. And there was all these problems on like the client side. But then I was like, okay, we need to start talking to trainers too. And then I realized that the problem needed to be solved for the trainers first in terms of making it more of a client central thing. So originally we were just trying to target like both sides. And now we've completely pivoted to just focusing on trainers and building business management tools out for them and making sure they have all the tools they need to teach like the best quality class they can. So all these trainers that come onto BoomRoom are independent trainers. They are using their own pricing. Like, they pick whatever they can charge a monthly subscription. They can charge class packs. They build their own class, uses the class builder that we have integrated and all that. But in terms of the product being right now, so we started development around late February. So that was just like our prototype, just really getting that clickable and as much as like as good as we could get it. And then we've started like development started at the end of April, and we are wrapping that up now. So that's taken, obviously we were supposed to launch in August, but as startups go, you always run into some big technical issues. So we're still building out the live room. That's our key value proposition. So making sure that's like working really well for the trainers when they do teach the classes. It's like our key priority right now. So our ideal launch date, which it's tentative still, but it's going to be around mid-October, October 13th, we're thinking, but that is still up in the air, but that's our goal right now.
Sure. That's great. And how many, do you have like a wait list, or do you have the trainers already pre-signed up, or how's the kind of sales process going while you are, concurrently building out the platform?
Yeah, great question. So I started talking to trainers, like I said, last fall. And since then, just have been making a list of what we're calling founding instructors for BoomRoom. And these will be the first instructors that will ever get on to build their own classes, like test out the platform. And so far we have 12 of them. So still working that number. We didn't want to like onboard a ton of trainers, just like anybody. We have a very specific type of trainer that we target too. A lot of our competitors just let anybody onto their platforms. You don't have to be certified. You don't have to have like a yoga certification, or like you don't have to have any background teaching fitness, and you can still just make like a trainer account. And one thing that we've noticed is just like one thing that we're striving for is just like a high quality live class experience. That's like our whole like mission, like empowering these entrepreneurial fitness instructors to host these high quality classes for their clients. And with that, we need to monitor the types of trainers that are on our platform. So with that, we've gone through a trainer like application form. So if you go to our website, it's boomroom.fit. Just type that right into the search bar, and you'll see there's like an instructor application form. And they're just like fill out a little bit of information about themselves. They're able to upload certificates that they're a certified personal trainer, or any background on them, just their past experiences. We basically review that within 48 hours, and we okay their account. And once they okay their account, they can continue the setup, like within like filling out their profile, creating class packs, classes, and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, the goal with that is just to really monitor who is on our platform. We're going for people that are like highly influential, very active on social media with their client base. They have like a very positive energy, but they also teach at a studio or a gym, but are looking for another way to reach certain clients and offer more variety in terms of their services.
Sure. That's great.
So I'm glad you brought up, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, but I'm glad that you brought up kind of the competitive marketplace and like where you might fit in, because while virtual training, right, and kind of this business model is certainly a broad market. I know there's a lot of players in the space. Do you feel like obviously, you're talking about Zoom and kind of the pitfall of that. Do you feel like there's enough room to play in it? And like, how big do you think this really be?
Yeah, great question. So my like strong belief is that just no one's hitting the kind of people we're trying to like target. So most of our competitors, like I said, just like go for any kind of trainer that wants to teach virtually. Like you don't have to be like legit. You don't have to have some sort of like background in teaching classes. And for sorry, I lost my train of thought. For this, it's basically like, okay, how do we give these trainers, wait, sorry, repeat the last part of your question. I just got jumbled in my thoughts.
No, I think, well, you were starting to answer for sure, but obviously it's a really competitive marketplace. So just how you're like, what your competitive advantage is. So you're saying that's really the trainer and the focus on that. I guess, how are you, maybe in the part two, right, of answering that would be like, how are you like really advertising that and your trainers and like making that kind of the centerpiece of your application? And then also maybe, I don't know if you can speak to this, but like, are the trainers only allowed to go through your platform and that's where they can, like, that's where the consumers can find these trainers, or have you not kind of worked through that yet? Because I would imagine if it's like all about these great trainers, you wouldn't want them on other platforms as well, but that might be hard and you might need to, kind of guarantee like that they can run their business really through BoomRoom.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just begin with one of our really unique like value props is that we are focused just on live classes. So after talking to a lot of trainers, like a ton of other platforms do this on-demand type thing, even Zoom, like where you're able to see the link afterwards. Like if you're a client, you just lose. And I've been doing these Zoom classes for the past year and a half now. And if there's an option to see the recorded end, like so many people don't show up for the live class. And after talking to some trainers that do offer like both like the live session and the recorded, it's frustrating for them because they're not as like pumped up because like there's 2 people on the Zoom call versus like, even though it shows that there's 50 people subscribed to their page. So they don't really know like who's showing up and who's not. And then interviewing clients, they say, I want accountability. I want my name to be called out. Like I want the push. Like that's why I go to an in-person class, is because I have to do the work. Like I can't pause the class and all that kind of stuff. So even though like in the moment you might want the on demand, like the reason you're coming to the class is to like get the workout, right? So, and it's the same for the instructor. They're holding their people accountable. Their job is to get a good workout in for their client, right? So what we've discovered from that is like, we're going to start off just doing live classes and see how that rolls. Like, let's see if we can create the closest thing to an in-person experience at people's home and allow the trainer to like give that kind of in-person talk and like motivation, accountability factor, like to their clients, like in real time. So that's definitely like a really key. And we've gotten some pushback on that from like other people, just like not knowing like a ton about like what we're doing, but like they were like, all these other people are offering on demand. And we've just been like coming back to like the feedback we've gotten from clients and trainers being like, there's such an importance in the face-to-face live interaction. And that's also why for our classes, the max capacity is 50 people, because we believe that anything over 50, you just lose that personal touch. And the trainer's not able to like customize it or like call out people's names. It's just like too many people on the screen. So we've taken a lot of the aspects of the in-person experience and trying to put that into BoomRoom and creating this really motivating and accountable like social fitness community.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, no, I definitely see how that's different, right, than other platforms out there. And it kind of reminds me of the Clubhouse model, and creates a little bit of that FOMO too, so that you want to come to the class just like you would in person, right? You're going to miss out on the other people being there, the other people pushing you and motivating you. You know that your instructor expects to see you there. So like really creating that kind of opposite of just on demand and kind of any point when you want to join, but really creating that special class, just like an in-person class, is a really unique model. So it's awesome. And did you say, I don't know if you got this part of the question, but just kind of asking about like, how big do you really think that can be? Especially if that is a little bit more like unique of a model, just, similar to, I guess, creating like an in-person studio, right? Or a workout. Do you feel like the virtual component of that is going to kind of maximize like what that retail model would be? And are you also limiting or providing some kind of exclusivity for the trainers to only be on your platform so that it really motivates students to come to your platform?
So great question. So with the whole exclusivity thing is, so we're not trying to be like, okay, people never go to an in-person class again, never go to the gym again. Like that's not how we are. We're like here to just like give this other option that's like so much more convenient and just adds a little bit more value onto what you're already doing. So like we want the trainers that are involved at other studios. Like that's how they learn. That's how they become better trainers. Like we're not here to teach them how to instruct people. Like the idea is that they already know what they're doing. They just need us to organize and take care of all the stuff that they hate doing. So just giving them the most simple way to build these like online classes. And in terms of, we've also talked to some studios, like is it something that studios could use? And there's so much more people like in the space of like helping studios out with like, there's like Mindbody, which is a huge one. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they are able to do a lot more in terms of like in-person, like business software, stuff like that. And then they also kind of build out a live essential or live kit basically this past year. And I've called a bunch of studio owners and they're basically just like, we have too many offerings for it to work on something like this, but that's why we're just targeting independent instructors that are just doing their own little side gig. So the kind of people, and answering your question in terms of like, how many people do you think we can get on this? For our founding trainers and our like trainer persona, we go for people that are like have a good amount of followers on Instagram, like have been teaching on Zoom since the start of COVID and already have this like client base that they're teaching over Zoom like still. So like there's like still this like group of people. So the idea is that we go out to these trainers, ask them how their virtual training system's going. We kind of give them the details of BoomRoom and ask them if this is something they'd be interested in. And if they are, great. And if not, like maybe we'll reach back out down the road. But so the idea is that once they get on and create their profile, they're able to market all their classes. Like we have like stuff embedded where you're able to like share the class to your Instagram story or like send emails out to your clients. And that way they just market their classes on BoomRoom to their already existing like client base, like whether it's on Instagram or whatever. And the goal is that those clients will then see that and then sign up for their class on BoomRoom versus like going through the Zoom process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I mean, it sounds like definitely there's just a lot of opportunity for it to grow after that launch with your first initial trainers. So good luck. It's really exciting.
Thanks.
How are you just to stay, I'll stay on just the business, but then kind of back up to more of the themes and trends, but what's the plan post-launch? How are you thinking of capitalization, fundraising? Are you out fundraising now? Do you need to? Can you bootstrap it? What are your thoughts there? Because I'm sure everyone's also sort of dealing with that if they're like early stage like you are.
Yeah, so we've raised $150,000 of pre-seed funding, which has gotten us through like just basic branding, prototype and development, as well as like we have some leftover for just like changes throughout the year. I've also hired like a full-time product manager who's been leading the charge like with the engineer. So that's basically our like setup right now. And just being an MBA school, I'm a second year. I've got tons of help from my classmates who are just interested in helping. So that's just been like a huge plus. I was also in like an accelerator program this past summer. It's called Launch Chapel Hill, which was super beneficial. But in terms of going after we launched, hopefully it passes October date, will be just to start spending a little bit more money on marketing towards like this like ideal trainer base. So the idea is if we just target, there's no like targeting clients yet, just targeting the trainers, because like I said, the goal is that they'll attract their client base onto BoomRoom. So like a ripple effect. But yeah, in terms of that, the first year just to get is probably around 50 trainers on the platform, satisfied, up and running. We're like really taking a strong look at like customer service. We want to like be like there for the trainers as much as possible. So honestly, like I would prefer like for the company just having like a smaller set of trainers that bring in high volume of clients versus tons of trainers that have like maybe bring in like one class a week, would have like 2 people in it, that kind of thing. So really targeting the types of trainers we want in the beginning and doing that for the first year and building that out. And hopefully from that, word of mouth spreading. It's better than Zoom. Our tagline is why Zoom when you can boom. So hopefully that'll work out. But we have a lot to think about in terms of like growth strategy. But right now, our really big focus is just like getting this MVP done.
Sure. And how'd you go about raising the 150K, and how was that challenging, sort of product, pre-revenue, even previous startup experience? How did that all go, and how did that come together?
Yeah, so I was an entrepreneurship minor at UNC, so had a little bit of background in terms of like just the generic process of everything, and then took a class called Startup UNC my last year, my first year of MBA school, which really just kind of taught me about like, hey, how do we go about like fundraising? What kind of money do I need to raise to like actually get this out there? And like, what are the costs going to be once it's built and like going forward? Mm-hmm. So taking that class, I actually had 2 classmates in there that like really helped me out. One guy was in finance, so like really was good at like building out financial models. And then one girl had a lot of startup experience in marketing. So they basically taught me a lot. This is like my first rodeo. So everything I do is like a first time thing. So learning something new every day, which is like awesome. And I think extremely valuable. But in terms of raising the money, I just went around to like friends and family, gave like my pitch deck that I created in that class. And they've always kind of known I'm just super, super into this. And they talk about it all the time. So I think I sold them even before I pitched a deck to them. So just like my energy around the topic and like wanting to improve the experience so much. Like every time I go to work out, or I did a Peloton this morning, I'm like, if I only had BoomRoom, I just need someone like yelling at me, and I'm just like not going to do this like extra 10 push-ups that this guy from New York who doesn't even know my name is like telling me to do, so.
Which guy was that, by the way?
Yeah. Which guy? I think it was like a Rad Lopez or something. I don't know.
He's new. Yeah, he's new.
Yeah. I love the Peloton app, but like every once in a while, like I feel like I need to like switch something up. I get a little tired.
I'm the only one on this trend.
Yeah.
Well, but Peloton is very one to many.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah. Apparently, I mean, Nick talks about the Peloton every Monday coming into the weekend, so I need to get on the bandwagon. They're opening a retail store in North Hills here in Raleigh, so that's kind of an interesting play that they're doing too. What are your favorite workouts? I'm curious.
I'm a big fan of like HIIT workouts, like high intensity interval training. I love like, I do kind of everything, like bar. I love to run. I'm a big skier, and that's not really like workouts, but like I've always been pretty active and just loved like doing all stuff. Was into yoga for a good bit. I kind of go through phases. Was into cycling for a little bit, and then I like reboot them all. But yeah. Basically.
Do you feel like with kind of the trainers that you're bringing on that it's like mainly going to be, obviously like most of them already have kind of their followers and kind of typical audience who's already kind of watching them, following them for workouts, but do you think that BoomRoom will also kind of provide this resource that wasn't available before now to people who maybe aren't working out now but are interested in it, and like start to appeal to that audience as well?
Yeah, exactly too. That was some feedback I got from one of my members in my cohort over the summer. Was like, she was like, my mom really wants to get into fitness, but she's so scared to go to a workout class, and Zoom has been such a great thing for her because she's not intimidated. Like a lot of people just don't want to work out around other people. It's not as much the trainer seeing them, it's about other people in the room like better shape than they are. And so this like virtual training option offers like so many more, like it's just more comfortable, like for a lot of people. Like I know like me, like I prefer to work out in my house now. Like going to the gym is like, I don't want to see other people. Like it's just like my own space, my own time to like de-stress. So I think a lot of people have like started to feel that too, but you do need the push from the class, or like every once in a while class is so fun to go to. But for instance, like I was in New York the other weekend, it was $40 for a Barry's boot camp class versus like I pay
not much transit getting there
for 3 months, which was like, so it's also just like the price thing. It's like, is it really worth it when I can like get a pretty good workout in at home and I don't have much time? So,
right. I definitely think, because that could be, kind of a natural question, right? Is like, how would coming out of COVID and going back to more in-person affect your business? But I think that with a lot of businesses, we've seen that COVID just makes the case for it even further, right? Like, it's not like now suddenly we're going to drop the way we've been living for the past year and a half and and never be online again, right? Like it's more that we can see that there are these added benefits of times when you only have a quick maybe half hour, 45 minutes to get a workout in before starting your day, and like don't want to add commute to that, or are uncomfortable maybe going to some of the workout classes in the beginning, or there's a pricing, so there's all of these added benefits. So I think you're in good shape, kind of, especially with October launching out of the pandemic, of like this has repositioned our thinking of how we can use online resources to be connected.
Yeah, exactly. And also just even thinking about this, like if COVID hadn't happened, I was still trying to run with this. It is so much harder to convince people to like try it versus like they were forced to try it, So
Right.
like they know it's possible now. So just like that was such like a huge plus, obviously. Just people know like it is possible. Like it's such a mindset. Like you just gotta put your head to it, and then like if it's live class, just go with it. But you can get a good workout in at home for the people that have been doing it. So that's a huge plus in terms of not having to convince people to try this like new thing.
How hard was it to quantify like the market opportunity when it was sort of new and changing and evolving with kind of COVID or, other forces? Obviously Peloton came out way before COVID and it was, it's a trend, but how was it hard? How did you count, because obviously you went out with your energy and experience as really more of the kind of SME and the customer more so than like the, seasoned, like multiple exited entrepreneur, right? You're just like, this is my problem personally. I'm the best to solve it. But yeah, so obviously that was one of the factors to helping raise money. But the other was, kind of the market opportunity. How did you quantify the market opportunity?
So yeah, basically what I was thinking about is what's going to happen when masks are off and COVID, like everyone's going to go out and party after this. Like it's gonna be great. No one's gonna have to wear masks anymore. I'm like, what's going to happen to us if that's the case? And the only thing that really, the like research I did was just like watching these trainers like still put up these videos even when gyms open back up, and literally just the phone calls I have with them, they're like, it's a no-brainer. Why would I not do this? Like, it's just another way for me to make money. And before I was just using this time to do nothing. So all these trainers have just explored, like, I can make so much more money if I have this like online channel to reach my customers or like my current clients. And I'm able to reach even more new clients just because of like sharing and like Instagram. Like I found so many new trainers just through Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, also like we did some just basic market research. We're actually doing like conducting some more this year. It's been like a little bit of time since we've like done our first one. So there's a lot has changed. So it's time for a little update on that. But basically, if I'm getting the numbers right, the fitness market is like $96 billion and 27.5% of that accounts for digital. And it's growing at a like 5% CAGR or something like that. Yeah, something around there. I'd pitched that a million times, but it's been like a couple weeks. So I'm sure those numbers are like around the same thing. But anyways, the market is growing. And the thing about like Peloton and all those like big industry leaders is like their business model is completely different than ours. Like we are not hiring the trainers. Trainers aren't contractors for us. They are their own person. We are just like the middleman between them and their clients. So basically what has given me like a ton of hope throughout all this is no one's really hit kind of what we're going for really. And just like I said, having these relationships with the founding trainers, they're not satisfied with any other thing that's been marketed to them. Like we have a big competitor that does take care of like scheduling and booking. And that's great and all. You can still like set a subscription, but it's still through Zoom. Like you still get a Zoom link. So most of the frustration is just getting off Zoom. And I think a lot of trainers are just ready for something fresh and exciting and something where they can really like market themselves, make it personalized, and reach a new base of clients too, on top of bringing their current client base to that site.
While we record this on Zoom.
I know all of our meetings are on Zoom. I'm like, this is kind of
we should just do this on BoomRoom and just be like kind of like working out a little bit while.
Right?
I know we've started.
It's like fitness. Let's get on.
Yeah. Our engineering meetings are now on BoomRoom, which is better. We're like, we got to get off Zoom fast. We're like, this is just not good if we're like shitting on Zoom, and here we are.
That's great.